You will never be forgiven for it. You haven't got a cat's chance in hell of winning the general election. Shame on you for what you've done. It was willful, it was deceptive, it was deliberate, and it was wrong. And the worst part of it, Ben asked about, the impact on communities, the impact on services. The worst part of it
He also talked about welcoming diversity.
Well, we'll talk about diversity in a second. The problem with welcoming diversity is if you do it in too big a level, you get division. And we're seeing that in many of our towns. The last 2 million that came from outside the EU under your watch, only 16% of them are working. Only 16% of that 2 million are working, which means they're dependents, which means they're using schools, the health service, all of these things. And we now know the truth, that selective immigration can be very good for diversity, very good for the economy, very good for all of those things. And you could argue that for decades, up until the early 2000s, it was working really well. But now, not only is it a catastrophe for people's way of life, not only does it deny them access to services, mass immigration is making Britain poorer. And the fact that Keir Starmer today doesn't seem to think it's a priority shows you that with these two parties, it is only going to get worse.
Nigel, you be honest with people.
We need a complete. We need to leave the ECHR so we can deport people that come illegally and take back control of our borders and our lives.
You be honest with people.
And that's what the public wants.
You know, we could not control our borders for 2020. Following that, you had COVID. Following that, you had Ukraine and Hong Kong. Which of those people would you have not let into this country?
I'm sorry.
That's what's happened.
Sorry.
Now we have got.
No.
Now we have got leaders at our disposal.
In 2023,
you know that's true.
In 2023, we were not taking people from Ukraine.
You are not the only person.
We were not taking people from Hong Kong.
Who's concerned about migration. We are also concerned about migration. I personally am concerned about it.
If you were concerned, I'm amazed you stood for the party again at the general election, giving that level of betrayal. It is shameful.
We made our mistakes. We made a mistake.
All right.
Yes, of course, the mistake.
Bring the rest of the panel in.
14 years of mistakes.
Nigel Farage has once again spotlighted the glaring shortcomings of the UK's immigration policies, exposing risks that neither Labour nor the Conservatives seem willing or able to confront. Successive governments have presided over policies that have stretched public services to breaking point, fractured community relations, and exacerbated economic pressures. The revelation that only 16 of the 2 million non-EU immigrants are employed adds to the perception of an overburdened system, with healthcare and education disproportionately impacted, leaving native citizens increasingly sidelined and frustrated. The Conservatives' 14-year track record on immigration has been one of empty promises and a failure to implement substantive reforms, eroding their credibility among voters. Labour, meanwhile, has compounded the issue with its ambivalence, failing to prioritise immigration as a core concern. The lack of robust integration strategies has heightened cultural divides, particularly in areas where migrant populations have surged, deepening challenges to social cohesion. The fallout from these policy failures is profound. Politically, the inability of either party to address these issues risks alienating voters and accelerating the erosion of trust in traditional leadership. Socially, unchecked migration strains communities and fuels resentment, while economically, it places downward pressure on wages and stymies growth. The absence of a coherent strategy to balance immigration with the needs of the labor market and public services threatens to entrench inequality and instability. Unless these pressing concerns are addressed, the UK faces a bleak trajectory: deepening societal fragmentation, prolonged economic stagnation, and a further erosion of public confidence in governance. Urgent action is needed to manage borders effectively, allocate public resources equitably, and foster unity in increasingly diverse communities. Failure to act decisively will see these challenges metastasize, with potentially irreversible consequences. And speaking of irreverence, Farage didn't hold back when taking aim at Alastair Campbell, delivering a sharp critique that underscores his unrelenting disdain for the political establishment.
One final point, that I was disappointed, and Nigel says that immigration is the big bursting issue. I was disappointed Keir didn't mention Brexit, because I think Brexit has done so much damage to this country.
Oh,
and
dear.
well, I'm sorry, Neil.
Oh,
Michael. I'm sorry.
dear.
Nigel doesn't want to accept.
You are the worst loser in history, Alastair.
No.
Get over it. It's 8 years ago.
Nigel,
Move on.
No, you won.
It's done.
You're the worst winner.
It's done.
Because you've never taken responsibility for what you've
It's
won.
done. No, we're independent. We're free, and we're not part of that eurozone that's collapsing around its ears.
I'll tell you what you are.
Rejoice.
Nigel.
We're out.
I'll tell you what you
we're
are.
free.
I'll tell you what you are. You're somebody, and we've seen it already tonight. You're somebody who will exploit any problem going for your own political ends. Brexit was a fundamentally damaging thing to this country. That is your one legacy, and you now don't even want to talk about it because even you know.
I want to talk
even
about
you
it.
know that it has damaged this country. It's made us poorer. It's made us weaker,
No.
and it's hit our standing in the world.
No, Alastair. You know, as I say, this major decision was taken 8 years ago. It gave us the chance. Gave us a chance
5%
to be
of the
significantly
economy
richer.
gone.
Gave us the chance to control our borders.
We didn't do it
all
your
those
way.
things, and sadly, this mob,
We didn't do it
the
your
Tories,
way.
didn't
If
do
we'd done it
any of
Nigel's way, it would all have been
So,
sunlit.
would you rather be like France right now or Germany
No, I wouldn't.
right now? Well,
the
really?
comparison is what
Really?
we would be if we'd have stayed in. 5% bigger economy.
No, we'd have joined the
5%.
Euro if you'd had your way back 30 years
see,
ago.
what he'll do is he'll
we're
throw
doing-
up a different
Alice,
Hang on, don't talk at the same time. Don't
It's
talk at the same
over.
time.
The war is over.
I'm sorry about that, Nigel, because I think you'll find
The war
young
is
people
over.
in this country know that you've taken their
The
future
war
away
is
from them,
over.
and they will get it back.
Move on.
The heated exchange between Nigel Farage and Alastair Campbell reveals a deeply polarizing debate that underscores the lingering divisions and unresolved tensions surrounding Brexit. Alastair Campbell criticizes the aftermath of Brexit as a catastrophic decision that has left the UK poorer, weaker, and diminished in global standing. He accuses Farage of exploiting national issues for political gain, branding Brexit as Farage's sole legacy, one that has fundamentally damaged the country. Campbell paints a grim picture of post-Brexit Britain, arguing that the promises of prosperity and control remain unfulfilled, and the consequences have burdened the nation with economic stagnation and reduced influence on the world stage. Farage's responses, however, reflect a stark refusal to acknowledge these criticisms, instead resorting to dismissive rhetoric. His assertion that the UK is independent, free, and not part of a collapsing Eurozone fails to address the tangible economic and social challenges the country has faced since leaving the EU. By declaring Brexit a completed and successful process, Farage sidesteps the pressing issues that continue to affect everyday citizens, such as labor shortages, trade disruptions, and economic uncertainty. Farage's aggressive labeling of Campbell as the worst loser in history and his call to move on come across as an attempt to silence valid critiques rather than engaging in meaningful discourse. This exchange also reflects the broader failure of leadership on both sides to reconcile the nation's divide over Brexit. While Campbell highlights the ongoing struggles and dissatisfaction of those who feel betrayed by the referendum's outcome, Farage's unwavering stance on Brexit's success alienates those who are experiencing its adverse effects. The inability to have a constructive discussion further entrenches the polarization, with both figures embodying the deeply entrenched camps that Brexit has created. The implications of this hostility are significant. The refusal to acknowledge or address the challenges post-Brexit Britain faces risks further alienating citizens who already feel disillusioned with political leadership. Economic struggles and societal divisions persist, while the lack of accountability and meaningful solutions undermines trust in governance. This exchange not only highlights the unresolved legacy of Brexit, but also serves as a reminder of the enduring damage caused by political decisions made without clear, sustainable plans for the future. Both Farage's defiance and Campbell's despair point to a fractured nation struggling to find common ground, leaving the public to bear the brunt of these failures. Thank you for watching. If you have any thoughts or opinions, feel free to share them in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more updates, and join us on Telegram for exclusive content and discussions. Your support means a lot.